Mazuma TV back with some more boxing talk. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to Mazuma Nation. Shout out to the Mazuma mob. I'm back in the building. All right, y'all. Let's talk about Terence Crawford, NaoyaInoue. Who is pound for pound #1 in the sport right now? There's a lot of debate going on right now, especially after Terence Crawford's dominant performance over Errol Spence, who was one of the longest reigning welterweight champions in boxing history. I believe he was like in the top 3. Reigned supreme for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? NaoyaInoue moving up and getting a world title in his 4th weight class. You know what I'm saying? And beating, in my opinion, the best 122-pound fighter in the world is Stephen Fulton at the time. Who is pound for pound #1? Now, everybody's entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day. There's no wrong answer. Pound for pound lists are subjective at the end of the day. It just depends on who you're talking to. Certain people got different criteria. Me personally, when I look at a pound for pound list, the heaviest thing for me is the resume. You know what I'm saying? And then afterwards is the skill set. We got to understand where pound for pound list originated from. It originated back from the Sugar Ray Robinson days, because they believed that he was so skilled for being a little man that if they was to take his skill set and put him in any weight division, if they was to put him in a heavyweight body, a cruiserweight body, a super flyweight body, that he'll be able to dominate in that weight class. You know what I'm saying? That's how the pound for pound stuff originated. And then they started throwing heavyweights on the pound for pound list and completely messed the whole thing up. You know what I'm saying? That's not what the pound for pound list is for. It's not for heavyweights. You know what I mean? And I do not put any drug cheats on my pound for pound list as well. Like, if you got a history of cheating or failing drug tests, you're not going to be on my pound for pound list. That's how my criteria is set up. You know what I mean? Resumes, skill set, not a cheater. You know what I mean? And when I'm looking at both of these guys, Inoue and Terence Crawford, both of these guys are extremely skilled. Both of these guys have a special kind of athleticism, especially Inoue. His explosiveness, his fast feet, his fast hands. You know what I mean? His power in both hands, his accuracy. You know what I mean? I think Terence Crawford shares all them abilities as well. You know what I mean? He's an extremely accurate puncher. That man landed 60% of his power punches. That is like unheard of at the elite level. When you look at guys like real snipers like Erislandy Lara and Floyd Mayweather, they'll give you like 48% to 50%. This man landed 60%, so that means statistically that every 5 punches that Terence Crawford threw, he landed 3 power punches, everything except the jab, which is insane. You know what I mean? And then like total punches, he landed 50%. So for every 2, he landed 1. This is shit that we really got to take into consideration. You know what I mean? Bud is extremely accurate, and he doesn't waste much energy or anything like that. You know what I mean? And he does things with such ease. How the way he handled Errol Spence with such ease when the lights were shining the brightest. In my opinion, he's pound for pound #1. You know what I mean? That's just my take on it personally. Now, Inoue, I honestly, I would have him in the top 3. So I would put him in either 2 or 3, because we can't ignore the guys like Alexander Usyk and stuff like that. But I can see why people are rating him #2, #3, because of his 4 weight divisions and the special abilities that he's been showing. You can't really deny it, especially after beating Stephen Fulton. You know what I mean? But I think Terence Crawford matches all the abilities that Inoue has. You know what I mean? And I think he honestly made a bigger statement in his last fight. I thought he made the bigger statement. I think he had the more dangerous opponent in front of him, the more accomplished opponent in front of him. So when we talking about resumes, when we lining up Stephen Fulton and Errol Spence, it's like, who would you rather, you as a fighter, who would you rather beat? You know what I'm saying? Stephen Fulton was unified, but Earl was unified as well. He had 3 belts. Stephen Fulton had 2. You know what I mean? Stephen Fulton had a couple title defenses. You know what I mean? But Errol Spence had more title defenses and reigned at his division longer than Stephen Fulton. So, without a doubt, Errol Spence was the more accomplished fighter. He was the bigger name. And in my opinion, he was the more dangerous fighter because I believe Errol Spence had a better resume than Stephen Fulton at the high level. You know what I mean? So, I think Terence Crawford should get more props for his win. More than NaoyaInoue. They're both great wins, don't get it wrong. But I think Terence Crawford made the bigger statement. He's been at the top of the game longer than NaoyaInoue. Naoya has 4 weight classes, but you got to understand that these lower weight classes, there's only like 3-pound differences. Like, if we go from 105, we start at 105. The next weight class is 108. Then after that, it's 4 pounds, 112. Then it goes 3 pounds, 115. Then another 3 pounds, 118. Then 4 pounds, 122. So it's like you moving up in weight, but in them smaller weight classes, there's only a few pounds that's making the difference in these weight classes. So it's easier to move up. Terence Crawford started his title reign at 35. Then he went up, put on 5 pounds, and went up to 140. 5 pounds don't seem much, but these guys are significantly bigger once you go into the 40s area. You know what I'm saying? These guys are boiling down from 60, 65 to make 40. We can't ignore that. You know what I'm saying? And then he moves up 7 pounds, which is a huge difference. You know what I'm saying? A huge difference. It goes up to 47 where these guys are boiling down from. Errol Spence told you 180, 190 pounds. Walk around in the 170s. These are bigger dudes. They're hitting significantly harder. And the most talented guys in the world seem to be in the 147 range. You know what I mean? 147 on his own has some of the most talented fighters in the world. When we looking at the Errol Spences, the Bud Crawfords, the Jaron Ennis's, the Keith Thurmans, the Dennis Ugas, even the guys that's coming up right now, like Romain Villa's still a good fighter. Who else? We could even go with even smaller guys like Mario Barrios. These are talented guys. It's a more threat. And Bud is dominating in a division that's more competitive than NaoyaInoue's. So these are things that just really need to be taken into consideration when you rating these guys. All right, NaoyaInoue has 1 more weight class than Bud Crawford. But guess what? Bud Crawford was in 3, and he became undisputed in 2 of them. And I honestly believe that he could have been undisputed at 135 as well. But when you watch how bad he struggled to make 135 and how a lot of these guys didn't really want to fight him because he was a low reward and extremely high risk at the time. He wasn't a big name at the time. You can see why he wasn't able to do so. You know what I'm saying? So much respect to NaoyaInoue and Terence Crawford, but I just think it's Terence Crawford's era right now. You know what I mean? Especially how the way he looked. He looked invincible that night. It looked like no matter what Errol Spence was doing, Bud had an answer for it, and he made him pay for it drastically. You know what I mean? Like, that was like a historical performance. Like, I can't name many welterweights in the history of boxing that would have been able to deal with Bud that night or dominate Bud that night. That's how I genuinely feel about it. And I'm real like educated on boxing back from the 80s, the 90s, and even prior to that. So just looking over all the guys who were welterweights. Like my favorite fighter of all time is Tito Trinidad. And he was one of the greatest welterweights of all time. I don't know if Tito could have done anything with Bud that night. That's just me personally. You know what I mean? Being as objective and as least biased as possible. You know what I mean? But everybody's entitled to their opinion at the end of the day. I'm not arguing with nobody. I could feel like somebody wrong. You know what I mean? I could provide points on why I feel like they're wrong and why I feel like Bud is above anyway. But you can't really, I don't really get into trying to convince dudes my opinion is right and stuff like that, man. Just let them think what they think at the end of the day. But I'm staying that firm on what I believe in. Bud is number one pound for pound right now, in my opinion. This is Bud Crawford's era, and I believe in my heart that he is the greatest. He's the best fighter in the world right now. That's just me. But y'all let me know what y'all been thinking about this whole situation. Who do y'all have number one pound for pound? Is it Inoue? Is it Bud? Do you have somebody else above them two? Let me know, man. I've been rambling for about 10 minutes now, so if you still tuned in, I appreciate that. This is Mazuma Nation. Shout out to Mazuma Mob, Mazuma TV. I'm in the building. I'll be back with another video soon. Shout out to y'all. Subscribe to the channel, man. Peace.